Hello! Today we are exploring the core insights from Morgan Housel's book, The Psychology of Money. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to distinguish between financial intelligence and financial behavior, and explain why personal experiences shape different financial worldviews. Most people think doing well with money is about how smart you are. They think it's a math-based field where you just follow formulas. But Housel argues that financial success is actually a soft skill, where how you behave is more important than what you know. Think of it this way. A genius who loses control of their emotions can be a financial disaster. Meanwhile, ordinary folks with no formal financial education can build massive wealth if they have a handful of behavioral skills. To understand this, let's look at a tale of two very different people. First, meet Ronald Reed. He was a janitor and gas station attendant from rural Vermont. His life was low-key. He fixed cars for 25 years and swept floors at JCPenney for 17 years. When he died in 2014, he made international headlines. This humble janitor left behind over $8 million. He didn't win the lottery or inherit a cent. He simply saved what he could and invested in blue-chip stocks, letting time and compounding do the work for decades. Now, compare him to Richard Fusoni. Fusoni was everything Reed was not. A Harvard-educated Merrill Lynch executive with an MBA. He was so successful he retired in his 40s, but Fusoni borrowed heavily and took massive risks. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, his fortune turned to dust, and he was left bankrupt. The lesson here isn't just about being more like Ronald. It's that finance is one of the only industries where a person with no degree can massively outperform someone with the best education and connections. It's not about what you know. It's about your relationship with greed and patience. The fundamental premise of the book is that while people do crazy things with money, no one is actually crazy. Our goal for this scene is to understand why different people make such different, often conflicting choices with their money. Housel points out that your personal experience with money makes up perhaps a tiny fraction of a percent of what has actually happened in the world, but it accounts for maybe 80% of how you think the world works. Consider someone who grew up in poverty. They will view risk and reward in a way that the child of a wealthy banker cannot possibly fathom. Or think of a person who entered the workforce during a period of high inflation. They saw their paycheck stretch less and less every month. To them, bonds might look like wealth incinerators. But to someone who grew up with stable prices, those same bonds look like safe wealth-generating machines. No amount of studying a spreadsheet can recreate the power of fear and uncertainty. You can read about the Great Depression, but you don't have the emotional scars of someone who actually lived through it. We aren't making decisions based on math alone. We make them at the dinner table, shaped by our unique history, ego, and pride. One final reason we struggle with money is simply how new the modern financial system actually is. By the end of this scene, you'll see why we're all essentially beginners at this game. Money has been around for thousands of years, but the concepts we use today, they are practically infants. Take retirement. Before World War II, the expectation for most Americans was to work until they died. In 1940, the labor force participation rate for men over 65 was above 50%. The backbone of modern savings, the 401k, didn't even exist until 1978. The Roth IRA wasn't born until 1998. If the Roth IRA were a person, it would barely be old enough to walk into a bar. Think about that. Dogs have been domesticated for 10,000 years and still act like wolves, yet we expect ourselves to be perfectly acclimated to a financial system that is only 20 to 50 years old. We aren't crazy, we're just winging it. We are all trying to navigate a system driven by emotions rather than just facts. In summary, remember, behavior is more important than intelligence. Your experience is your lens, and we are all still learning. Doing well with money is about mastering your own psychology,